In this screencast, we're going to look at using Skype to record a guest speaker. And there's two ways you can record. You can record live or you can pre-record. And let's have a look at those in comparison. So live Skype in the classroom always requires some kind of pre-production, and it will come in the form of these things. Do you have to install the software somewhere? You'll have to invest some time in testing for microphone feedback loops in particular. You'll have to look at what the camera angle is and the available lighting. Can we actually get a good picture that we can send both ways? And what's the layout of the class in relation to this? So do you intend that the students can be seen by the camera and they can be heard by the microphone? So remember, in a live situation, you may not be able to handle it yourself just as a solo lecturer or presenter. You may require assistance. There's a lot of technical aspects that need to be prepared. Now you want to give some thought, some mental consideration to the pedagogical aims that you're trying to get across. So you don't necessarily want to be focused on the technical part of it. And this is really the key thing to remember, that when you're doing a Skype call, you can test your end and you can have the other end test their connection, but what's in the middle is the internet, and you definitely are at the whim of the internet. You can't always control what happens there, so it's really good to have a plan B. And don't forget to press record. When you're in the live setting, you can get carried away and the greetings are happening and then the presentation begins, and no one but you will remember that you're supposed to press record. So what do you need? Well, there are pieces of equipment that you can loan, and you might want to think of it as what can I source and what do I need. So when I say what can I source, I mean maybe there's things you have yourself, a webcam or a microphone that you know works really well, or a microphone headset, and also what can you loan. But then you've got to also think, what do you need? So if you've got a big group of people and you're intending them to Q&A, maybe it's not really practical for them to all come up to the front computer and ask a question. Maybe you want to incorporate a roving microphone. So as the technical requirements get more elaborate, so you need to put in that pre-production factor. So what can you get? Well, from the equipment loans library you can get a MacBook Pro, and you could get also the cables you need, which is a VGA and a mini jack to mini jack audio cable, which has just got a little headphones jack on it, and maybe some extension leads as well. This is perhaps the case that you'll need to get a longer Ethernet cable than is available in the lecture theatre, or perhaps you need just to plug it in a bit further away, so you need an extension power lead. Maybe a USB mic so that you can open the microphone to a wider part of the room, having people raise their voice and still be heard. So here's a question. Is it always better to do a live Skype? Well, the pros of it are that you can really get an engagement happening. When people are speaking in a conversation, then definitely there's a sparkle and a spontaneity to what people are saying to each other. It's more engaging. Plus you can have that Q&A that you can't have with a pre-recorded version. Now the cons are pretty obvious ones. There's a time zone issue. If you want to talk to people who are halfway across the world, they've got to get up early, or you have to reschedule your class. There's no way around that. And also the other thing, if it just won't connect, so we mentioned that before, you really are sometimes just at the whim of the internet, and therefore video won't work and audio won't work. There's nothing you can do about it. You just need to have a plan B in place so that you can deal with it if it does happen. And setting up and managing it can really be a drag on a limited amount of time that you have in the face-to-face teaching in the classroom. So maybe you need to practice it, maybe you need to have one or two goes at it before you smooth the procedure, but you want to make sure that it doesn't really bite into the rest of the time that you're intending to present to your students. So let's have a look at pre-recorded. Why would you do that over making a live event? You can have a more polished end product, so people are speaking more thoughtfully. You can make sure that you cover all the points that you really want to cover in your teaching in your presented in your allocated time. So you can manage that time. Means that people aren't speaking ad nauseum and making long-winded commentary. You can really cut it down because you've got the chance to edit it later on. So if you want to use graphics, which is show charts, or if you want to incorporate videos to cut away from what people are saying, if you want to make external references, you can actually use them. You can cut them in. And another big advantage of pre-recording is that you really have more control over your video and audio settings. So if, for instance, you set up a recording session and the internet won't work, then no harm, no foul, just try and set it up again for another time. You can optimize the space that you're recording in. So maybe you're having 2 or 3 different people joining into a panel discussion. You can make sure that everyone has a microphone headset so that they really sound good, and that everyone's been able to put themselves in a quiet space with plenty of front light on their faces so they look good as well. Where is it going to happen? Is it going to happen in your office, your home, or a meeting room? And also give some consideration to the other end as well. Where are they able to record the Skype call from? And often what people will do is record in the highest possible quality that their computer will allow and that their bandwidth connection will allow, and then compress later on so that you can add it to your LMS site or perhaps upload it to YouTube, make it available in the many different ways that are available.